Apple may be applying the same rationale. But the inability to override the settings violates a core tenet that people ought to be able to selectively restrict traffic flowing from their own computers. In the event that a Mac does become infected, either through something the user downloads or through a malicious ad, the change also gives hackers a way to bypass what, for many, is an effective mitigation against such attacks. So, our poll of the week at soundbytes.org, that is Bytes with a Y, Francis would like us to remind you, is some Apple apps bypass firewalls. And your choices are, relax, Apple is perfect. That's disturbing. I hate this idea. I don't know how much danger I'm in. Apple. And other. So far we have 88 votes in the poll, and Apple is number one. But of the Apple people, that's disturbing is the number one, and relax, Apple is perfect is number two. I put that in sarcastically, and it's now number two with people who actually don't laugh at Apple. Okay. All righty. And, of course, if you answer other, you should head over to our website at soundbytes.org, again, Bytes with a Y, and scroll down on the right under Fascinating Stuff. You will see the poll discussion, number two, as the number two item under the forums, and currently at least the number one item under poll discussion is 21 Nov 20. Some Apple apps bypass firewalls. And, of course, you can give us a call at 585-966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll free at 1-800-790-0415. Or text us at 585-205-8887. Do you have something you'd like to say about this?
Well, the setting has always been in the Apple Firewall to allow trusted apps.
Okay, Mark.
I'm trying to bring up mine now to see if there's a allow no apps on.
He was calling about a concert.
Oh.
So I remember one of the early problems with the Windows Firewall because the DOS underlying it was still the 8-character file names. You would get these weird questions from the Windows Firewall. Do you want MSIMN to access the internet? Well, I have to know what that is. So no. Microsoft Internet Mail and News,
Right.
now known as Outlook.
Right.
Yes, I do want that to access the internet.
Right.
So that's and so their point of cutting down on tech support calls. For people that have ever installed Little Snitch, you get prompted all the time, especially now that so many programs are using licenses rather than using subscription licenses,
Right.
rather than a perpetual license. In fact, that was sort of the joke that Little Snitch is used to stop Adobe from phoning home to verify your license. It made it easier to steal programs.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's legitimate uses for it too.
Right.
But yeah, almost everything, and your time server checks the internet. Your mail program, your web browser, all the little plugins you have in your web browser. So being inundated with those messages would be horrible. So that's why most
but
of the
can't you then
firewalls.
say yes and don't ask me again?
Typically, yeah.
Yeah.
So for that first few days after you turn your firewall on, you're going to be inundated with messages.
Right.
So that's why there's an allow trusted apps. And this feels very similar to a bug that Microsoft just fixed, where you could append malicious code to the end of a legitimate app,
Right.
and it would use the legitimate app certificate, and the system would trust the malicious code because the app was trusted.
Right. So look, I absolutely get it when it is how do I best put this? When you're not a system administrator, when it is not obvious, when you aren't trained in what you should allow and not allow. I absolutely get that you need to be aware that you're going to be asked a lot of questions you may not be able to answer. I do get that. But these days, with so many vectors for the bad actors to get in.
Well, everyone has been programmed to just click yes. They don't even read the messages anymore.
Like
Yeah.
I said, they get click happy.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter whether it's any platform. Any platform, folks have just gotten very complacent and what I have called for years, click happy.
Right. And I've always told my students in my security classes, the rule is deny is the default, allow is the exception.
Yep.
So the first thing you put in your firewall is deny everything.
Yep.
Then you go through and say
It's easier
allow
that
your
way.
web
It
browser,
saves you a
allow your
lot
mail.
of
Yeah.
a lot of less headaches than trying to sift through all the stuff that's trying to come in
Right.
and get the stuff that you really want. Just like you said, deny everything and only.
But that does mean that you have to understand what programs you're using that go out into the network and set each one of them up.
And that, again, that's where folks can get lazy.
And because so many programs assume ubiquitous internet, they're always going out and checking something.
Right. One of the things that I do is I have a couple of programs that I wrote in Python that grab data out of my MySQL database up on my server. I can't use them here because I've set my SQL server to only respond to one IP address, which means that, every once in a while, and it's been very rare over the past 4 or 5 years, however long it's been, I've had to change that one address because I get a new one from Greenlight. Yeah. But there's $1. But I don't know if that one counts, really. Even so, it's the only way to be safe. And it takes me, a minute to change that IP address? Once every few months? Big stinking deal.
Yeah.
And it keeps me more secure.
But exactly. That little bit of effort
Right.
pays off bigger dividends than, having to go through and get hacked or anything else or stuff in that you didn't want.
Right. And yes, it does mean that there are certain Python scripts I've written that I can't use here.
Yeah.
Well, I also have all of those particular ones, like how many, like the current poll.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Python script that tells me the results of the current poll. But I can do that also as a web page.
Yeah.
Which is allowed through.
Again, it's no different than when we tell folks constantly, about as far as backing up and everything else. Just taking the time and due diligence. The same with setting up. I was talking to somebody about setting up EasyPass.
Yep.
NPass rather.
NPass, yeah.
NPass, and they go, well, I got to put all this in. I go, so what? I says, once you do it, you can
done.
create passwords that are unbelievably hard for anybody to crack. Now, is it more important that you just have to remember just one password and, put that information in, and then it creates the passwords that nobody's going to break, or try to defend yourself when somebody breaches and gets your identity and has heyday at it because they got into your system, drained your bank account, and did this and did that in your name.
That's exactly
and
right.
now you're then considered guilty until you can prove yourself innocent.
Right.
And like we've also been saying, how folks can sit there and, when they're first called or, ask questions, they'll go, yes. You never say yes.
Right.
If somebody says, is this so-and-so? You never say yes because they're recording it. And they can always use that. Well, see, he said, we got it right here on tape, that he said yes to this agreement.
Right.
I always have gotten to where anybody's calling, and I'll go, what's this in regards to?
Right.
Or how can I help you? You never say yes to them or I go, because then that's agreeing.
Right.
And they can use it against you. So just little tips out there.
That's exactly right. And make sure that you do that. You also, one of the things that I really like about NPass, and there are others that have it as well, is that it has something called password audit. So it will tell you which of your passwords are weak,
Yep.
which are identical, that is to say you reuse them somewhere,
Yep.
how many are over 3 years old or 1 to 3 years old or 6 months old or whatever, and which ones were pwned, that is to say are out there in somebody's database being actively exploited. And it's important, I think, to be very aware of that. I've got hundreds In fact, I can tell you I have 344 passwords.
I'd have to look on my phone because I even
Yeah.
have the app on my phone
Right.
for that.
Right. I have it on my phone. I have it on my Chromebook. I have it on my desktop. I have it on my tablet.
I've got it on every device. I paid for it. And, it's just great that I only have to now remember one password.
Yep.
And that manages all my others. Like I say, I was at the bank just, I go so rarely nowadays.
Yeah.
I went into the bank and I forget for what. But anyways, I went there and I says, I'm very disappointed in you folks. And the manager was right next, near. Why? What's the matter, Mr. Enright? I go, you folks need to spike up your security. I said, it would only let me put in a 25-word letter password.
Right.
And it needs to be beefier. She goes, I will look into that. I said, well, thank you.
Yep.
Because most of my passwords are long and they're complicated.
64 character passwords, numbers, letters, symbols.
It's great.
That was the early days when the business computers were 8-bit written in COBOL, and you had an 8-character password field and could not make it any bigger.
Yeah.
Or a 6-character password field.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because they needed a checksum or something.
They needed to check some, and they needed a byte that said change your password.
Yeah.
So yeah, look. This is the same thing I used to tell my programmers. I don't care how hard it is for you. It's hard for you once. It's easy for 1,500 people using the app. What's more important?
Yep.
And the same thing here. You have to, yes, you do have to put in all those data once, but then you're done. In fact, you're done forever.
But here's the other thing, though, that folks are missing out on. That if you have multiple computers, say you're using a tablet and you're using a desktop, and also you have a notebook, say at work or whatever, those multiple, you just load the app. And if you save everything up on, say, your cloud to the OneDrive, it can sit there and grab it. So you're putting it in. You're not only covered on that, say, tablet, you're also, it can start it up on your desktop unit and other units that you use. So it's at your fingertips.
That's exactly right.
So it's not like, I got to enter them all here on my tablet. Now I got to go over to my desktop, put them all in there, and then go to my, phone, whatever.
Right.
No, they're all there.
synchronize.
They're all there.
One time.
And the other thing is, how many times have you said to somebody, you're helping them set something up, and you say, okay, now put in a password, and they freeze.
Oh, I hate coming up with the passwords. I don't know how to make passwords.
I can't make passwords.
Yeah.
Okay, open up NPass and hit the generate button.
Yeah.
You're done now.
Hello.
I can never
And
remember
then hit
that.
the copy button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then paste it into the field. You're done. You are done.
Yeah, it remembers it and
And it remembers it.
good to go.
Yeah, it's there are so many benefits to using something like NPass, and people just
Just for your own security.
right? Just for that one fact of I've got to put in all this stuff, and I
Well,
think
And a lot of times you don't have to put it in. You log into your website and you'll have to put it in because it doesn't know it. And then NPass or KeyPass, whatever you're using, will pop up and say, do you want me to remember that for you? And you say yes.
yep.
Yeah. But
Also,
just take,
if you've got it in a
Spreadsheet?
Excel spreadsheet or any spreadsheet in the right format, you can import it to NPass. So if you're one of those people who's so proud of putting everything into a spreadsheet, which is not a
yeah.
if it's a password protected or it's only local or whatever, is not a bad thing. But you can import that spreadsheet into NPass, and now you're done.
One word to advice to folks. When say you are doing something like that, creating a spreadsheet that, is passwords. One thing you don't want to do, folks, is give it the name of, say, all my system passwords or anything related to passwords.
Don't make your file name say passwords or
Give it some obscure name like favorite pet names, or cars I wish I could have bought.
Pictures of my tumor.
Yeah. Something totally obscure that if hackers got into your
No,
system
thank you.
and they were looking for, great recipes I like to cook
Thank you, I'm sure.
that we
that
can't
image.
unsee.
Yeah, sorry.
Actually, I have a story like that.
I don't want to hear it.
But
I
again-
actually don't want to hear it. I had a friend who sent me pictures of his LASIK surgery. Videos of his LASIK surgery.
Oh,
They went in the trash so fast there was smoke trail.
One of the guys in the office came in to visit and still had I don't know which surgery it was on his eye, but he still had the stitches in his eyeball.
I don't want. Oh, no, thank you, no.
but still,
No, what is wrong with people? Stay home. Wear an eye patch.
He couldn't see them.
Go to an island somewhere and don't be among humans.
but again, give it an obscure name that, if somebody gets into your system and it won't stick out to them, that, there's all their passwords. Because if they do a search on any file's named password or have password in the name of the file or that,
Right.
boom, you're going to be, they're going to grab that and you're going to be toast. So,
Right.
again, just to protect yourself.
Exactly right.
And other people, if other people are using, say, your computer, and they sit down, and then they write that down or print it off or email it to them, now all of a sudden all your your accounts could get hacked.
Well, and the same thing is true if you keep it online somewhere, right? And that's even worse because
Yeah.
many of those, we all know that almost all of those things, the Apple iCloud and Microsoft OneDrive and Google Drive and all of them, people are trying to hack into them constantly.
Oh,
Yeah.
And if they find a file name with passwords in the name, that's the one they're going to go after
that's,
first.
That's
And
gold.
it's always weak passwords or weak security questions. Every time you hear about some celebrity's account getting hacked and nude pictures were released, well, don't make your security question, where did I meet my husband, or where did I
Everybody
go to high
knows
school?
that.
Yeah, yeah. Even non-celebrities now, that stuff is easy to look up.
When Trump's Twitter feed was hacked, his password was MAGA 2020 exclamation point. Seriously?
Because they require a symbol.
Because they require a symbol. But the point is, it should have been something entirely else. I love Biden would have been a great password. No one would have guessed it.
I've seen password analyst reports from leaked passwords, and when a site asks for an uppercase letter, it's almost always the first character.
Right.
When it asks for a number, it's almost always the last character.
Right.
And if it asks for a symbol, then that's the last character. So it's uppercase letter, some letters, a number, and usually exclamation point. That's the most common symbol.
Right.
And so that makes your password much easier to guess because it's the same pattern that everyone else uses.
Yep. It's a problem all over the place, and we see it all the time. And programs like NPass can analyze your password, tell you if it's weak or easily broken or whatever. And you should be using that. Like I said, nowadays when I put in a password, I go into NPass. I've got it set up to be 64 characters long.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it set up to be numbers, symbols, letters, everything.
Combination, upper and lower case.
Everything.
Punctuation.
And then I just hit the generate button, and then I copy and paste, and I'm done. I used to have to remember passwords. I used to remember, and I remember 43 separate passwords every single day when I was working. I couldn't tell you one of them now with a gun to my head, and I don't have to remember any of mine because they're all 64 character long gobbledygook.
Mm-hmm.
And
Same here.
It's just in there. And the only time that was ever a problem, ever, was when I was setting up one of the programs on the Roku,
Yeah.
and I suddenly found myself going left, 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 down, down, down 64 times.
Load the Roku app on your phone first and then use the keyboard.
Right. That's exactly what I ended up doing.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But I was in the middle of that going, what the hell am I doing? I got it on,
Yeah.
do it on the phone.
Or a lot of them will do dictation now, too. They've added voice command.
Right,
and
right.
But the other thing you can do is when your website wants you to make security questions,
Lie.
or generate another password.
Sure.
NPass thinks that's just another password field.
I keep the questions, the security questions, also in NPAS, because there's a text field, and I will lie. You know, what's your favorite color? Thursday. They don't care if the answer isn't really a color. There's no system on Earth that's going to say, I'm sorry, that's not a color. You lose. You are the weakest link. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. Back in just a couple of minutes with Dave Enright, Steve Ray, me, Nick, Francesco, and you. It's 30 minutes after the hour. It's the longest-running gerbil cage in the known universe, Soundbites, right here on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at soundbites.org. More with Nick Francesco, Dave Enright, and Steve Ray next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
The success of any business depends on its ability to offer value, a great quality product or service for the right price. Businesses themselves need to get value for the things they need as well. As an underwriter of Jazz 90.1, you can get the word out about your business, what you do, where you are, and how to reach you. Underwriting messages are straightforward, simple, and easy to remember. Underwriting at Jazz 90.1 is a great way to promote your business while supporting public jazz radio. For more information, call the Jazz 90.1 business office at 966-2660 today.
You already know it's smart to listen to Jazz 90.1. And now you can listen to Jazz 90.1 on smart devices, such as your Amazon Echo. Just say, Alexa, play Jazz 90.1, and she will.
90.1, Jazz 90.1, WGMC from TuneIn.
To learn more, visit jazz901.org.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance. Say hi, guys. When I adopted them, I discovered that they both have incredible personalities. Chance's sole purpose in life is to love and to be loved. Frankie is a little bit of a scoundrel and always entertaining. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
If you want to support Jazz 90.1 a lot, but your budget says only a little will work, there is a way. It's called the Jazz 90.1 Jazz-O-Matic membership. You can support Jazz 90.1 with a monthly gift of $10 or more, while enjoying the many great thank you gifts that we offer. Jazz 90.1 will deduct that amount automatically every month, and should your circumstances change, you can cancel at any time. Support Jazz 90.1 the way you want to, without bruising your budget, Jazz-O-Matically. For more information on becoming Jazz-O-Matic, call 966-5299 or pledge online at jazz901.org.
Did you know you can listen to many Jazz 90.1 programs on demand in our online audio vault? They're like Jazz 90.1 podcasts, where you can listen on your computer or on your phone with our Jazz 90.1 Android or iPhone app. Hear the latest editions of Soundbites, The Blues Spectrum, Big Road Blues, The Soul Jazz Spectrum, Soulstainable Living, Jazz 90.1 live in-studio concert recordings, and other shows too. To listen on your computer, go to jazz901.org, then to the Listen tab, and pull down to Audio Vault. Once there, scroll down to see all the shows and simply hit the play button on the show of your choice. On our Jazz 90.1 phone app, click the name of the program to open and play the file. The Jazz 90.1 Audio Vault. Just one more way Jazz 90.1 takes jazz further for you.
So many kids today are nearsighted. Is the villain Candy Crush? This is Sandra Tsinglow with the Lowdown on Science. Facebook, YouTube, Fruit Ninja. Everyone seems to be glued to their screens these days, especially the kids. Is all this screen time hurting children's eyesight? Po Wen-ku and colleagues from Taiwan and London decided to see for themselves. They monitored nearsightedness in about 2,000 kids in Taiwan. The team studied how reading, screen time, and tutoring affected children's eyesight over 4 years. A peek into the results? The team found that reading and computer use did not appear to contribute to nearsightedness, but more time spent in tutoring or doing other close-up work did. Researchers believe that kids who are being tutored spend less time outside, giving their eyes less breaks. Constant up-close schoolwork leaves little time for their vision to rest. The researchers suggest more breaks and time outside could help prevent nearsightedness. In that case, anyone want to go for a stroll outside or climb a tree? And no, there isn't an app for that.
The Lowdown on Science is produced by LDOS Media Lab in partnership with the University of California Irvine Science Communications and 89.3 KPCC. On the web at LOHDOWNonscience.org.
This is Sandra. Follow us on Twitter at LOHDOWN.
Your smartphone just got a bit smarter. Text your computer questions now on our new text line. Text 205-8887. That's 205-8887.
Here's the latest Jazz 90.1 weather forecast.
The mild air of the last couple of days gone as we head through the day today. It'll be rather cloudy, considerably colder with the breeze raw and chilly coming in out of the northwest. And we will find a spot sprinkle or wet snow flurry. Temperatures right around 40 much of the time. Variably cloudy and chilly tonight. The overnight low temperature into the low and mid 30s. Sunday, look for increasing clouds with a little wet snow, a wintry mix, and then some rain showers as temperatures climb through the 40s. I'm meteorologist Josh Nicholas for Jazz 90.1.
And right now we've got some overcast, easy for me to say. Overcast skies, 42 degrees out at the airport, and 43 here at member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Hi, this is Dick Longwell, hoping you can stay up late for an hour of the best in classic and contemporary jazz. It's the Jazz Scene, Sunday mornings at 1 a.m. on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
He's got to adjust that one.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 36 minutes after the hour, we are Soundbites, and we have Dennis from Rochester, New York on the line. Hi, Dennis. What's up?
Well, hi, guys. I've missed the past few shows. And
what?
It's terrible. I mean, I hate to miss any of them.
Sure.
And that's true. I want to ask you a question about Windows 10. I have all the updates except feature update 20H2. Did you guys discuss any of that during the shows? And if so, could I find it somewhere on your Soundbites website?
I had it as news at one point, but I don't think we got to that one.
Is H2 out already?
Yeah, it's
the second half of 2020. Yeah, I suppose we are.
Yeah, I suppose we kind of are. Yeah, we're in the fourth quarter of 2020 at this point. And what the recommendation has been so far is to not go for it.
Don't do any feature updates.
Don't do any feature updates if you can avoid it.
Yeah.
Microsoft
even the security
has been
updates cause problems
right.
sometimes.
Microsoft has been forcing some updates, but so far they're not forcing 20H2. So I would hold off on that one for a while.
Okay, so why are you suggesting not do the feature update?
Because often the feature updates don't have features for your machine, but they try to install them anyway.
And they have the feature of bricking some machines.
And they're bricking some machines.
Every month there's problems with updates.
Yeah. So why be the pioneer with the arrows in your back if you can avoid it and just see until they settle things out?
Unless you have a really good backup, and if there's a problem, you don't mind wiping and restoring.
Right. And if there's a really compelling reason, as far as features, unless it's security, if it's working good for you, why mess it up?
Yeah, I've done everything. I've done the security updates. I've done the cumulative, whatever they are, all the other updates, and so far so good. I mean, I've had problems, and I've had to do restores, but done workarounds, and I'm good right now, and that's why I don't want to do the 20H2 unless I should do it.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, just
let it percolate for a little while before you pour yourself a cup.
Yeah, let it, just settle in and let them make sure that there's no other bugs or, as they put it, features that you need to be aware of.
Right.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis.
Stay safe.
Happy Thanksgiving.
The same to you guys.
Have fun.
I'm looking through the feature list, and I don't really see anything that compelling, except that the new Microsoft Edge, based on Chromium, is part of it.
Right.
But that installs by itself anyway.
It installs anyway, right.
That a lot of people hate that it installed by itself.
Well, yes, and that's true of a lot of things. One of the things that Microsoft did this week was they also forced an installation of an update, and people are angry. People are truly angry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
I did a rollback.
Well, yes, but that's part of the issue, you know.
Well, that was my fault because I forgot to go in and renew. You know how you can delay, but stuff, being as far as controlling your updates. And I had said it a while ago. Don't do any updates until this date.
Right.
And it went and I forgot to go in and extend it out farther because I want full control of when I do updates and what's updated. Because I'm tired of them doing stuff and messing my machine up.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the butt.
Well, that's the reason I originally, 25, almost 30 years ago, went to Linux. I just got tired of that nonsense, and I don't want to play that game.
Well, it's only on the, like I say, the one computer, because the other one I use for the internet is Chrome, and I have no issues with that.
Sure. Well, Microsoft just had an update problem with a Kerberos authentication bug. Now, that's really only going to hit people in enterprises, people who use Kerberos for authentication. But it hit a lot of them. And people are getting tired. They're just getting tired. And of course, that's one of the reasons.
Because he's using us as beta testers.
And we're the beta testers. And again, that's one of the reasons they want to go to a virtual machine in the cloud, because then they will control every aspect of it and can make sure it works. I did the same thing when I rolled out virtual machines at work. We tested the living patoot out of them and made sure that everything worked perfectly. And then all we had to do was hit a button and clone them.
Yep.
You know, and it was
there. It is
ridiculously easy.
Deploy.
And so yeah, people had if you were running Windows 10 1903, they did the 1909 refresh, which was ridiculously minor nonsense. But I think that was just a test.
Yeah.
You know, how many people were going to complain about that? And if it's below a threshold, then they feel they can update anybody anytime.
Yeah, part of Microsoft's problem is so many people are using Windows that, 1/2% is 1 million people.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So yeah, there's just a lot to Microsoft that, we said this last week or the week before. Microsoft is talking to their investors about making Windows virtual. You'll essentially be a dumb terminal, and you can run Windows in the cloud, and it'll cost you X dollars a year. We don't know what X is, but the speculation is a minimum of about $50 a year and a maximum of about $250 a year.
And that does mean the computer you buy will be a lot cheaper because it doesn't have to have the horsepower in it.
You believe that?
Yeah.
It's still going to, well, yes. I mean,
theoretically.
Yes. Now, the last few computers I've bought, except for desktops, have been Chromebooks. So I was in the $250 to $300 range. But yes, that is much cheaper than buying a Windows desktop or a Windows laptop or a Mac. So yes, they would be much cheaper for the average person. I suspect that I would then be able to run Windows on a Chromebook.
Yeah.
So
if it's just a web.
Yeah.
If it's just a web
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, they're going to use RDP.
Okay. Remote desktop protocol,
which has so many bugs, and there are still hundreds of thousands of unpatched RDP servers on the net.
Yeah, right.
Ripe for exploiting. In fact, I just read another study on Security Now that RDP exploits have superseded email as the highest target in phishing and exploit attacks.
And I suspect that
because it's easier, you don't have to get anyone to click on anything.
And Microsoft Remote Desktop is
ubiquitous.
Yeah. And
everywhere.
RDP.
And RDP, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how badly that screws up these days, in these coming days. But I suspect that for a lot of people, for a lot of companies that sell Windows desktops and laptops, they're looking very carefully at the fact that if Microsoft makes Chromebooks able to run Windows, and it's the same exact cloud experience that you will have no matter how much you spend on a laptop, more people will buy Chromebooks.
Yep.
Because if I can buy a $200, and in fact, I could buy a $150 Chromebook, because if all the processing is really being done in the web,
up on the cloud,
right? We don't know yet
Right.
whether you'll do the processing locally or up on the cloud, or how that all works. We don't know yet. But if it happens in the cloud, then it doesn't matter what I'm running. I could run it on a calculator. Right? Because it's just a window into what's happening up there. And so
And I would bet that the average consumer doesn't know or doesn't care when they need a new computer. They go into the store and they buy the pretty one.
Right.
Or they buy the one that the salesman has the biggest spiff on, or they buy the cheapest one because it's mostly price conscious.
Right.
But
and so if I can, well, you're right about the
Yeah.
spiff.
Yep.
First, spiff is I don't know what it stands for, if it stands for anything, but basically it's salespeople sometimes get a
like an incentive,
kickback, an incentive for selling particular models or brands, and that's called a spiff. And
Sales
everybody offers
performance
spiffs of some
incentive,
sort or another. If you find yourself being pushed toward a unit you don't want, there's a spiff involved. I'll guarantee it. But if you, absent a spiff, if you walk into a store and there's a $300, there's a $1,200 laptop, a $600 laptop, and a $200 laptop, and they all run Windows exactly the same way, which one are you going to buy?
Yeah.
Now, again, if you're a gamer, or your sexual identity is wrapped up in how fast your machine runs, that's separate. But for the average user, which one are you going to buy? You're going to buy the $200 one because it's going to be the same experience.
I still think that they're going to require decent powered machines, in the fact that that would cost them more money. To do all that processing would mean that their servers would have to be beefed up quite a bit. That's an additional expense. Whereas if you put the burden of speeding things up at the individual's point, it's far more cost effective for them and their shareholders.
Right.
And they're going to have a higher speed internet.
Well, and that's and if you're one of those people who has a cap on your internet,
or
you're
dial-up
done.
still,
You're screwed. Well, yeah.
Or even DSL. I was with a customer the other day that still had DSL, and he was getting like 3 megabit.
Yeah.
No, really, look at the competition. You get 100 from this guy, you get 500 from that guy.
Yeah, and for not much more money.
For not much more money, yeah.
But yeah, it's we're going to see some sea changes when Microsoft goes to that, and I'll tell you, I don't know. Oh, well, I'm unusual, and I admit it in so many ways. But in one of those ways,
your wife said that too.
Yeah. Because I've been using Linux for so many decades, but I don't know why I would put up with Windows, with Microsoft, and the way they're doing things. When you as a user, again, if you're a particular type of programmer or a particular type of gamer or whatever, but if you're just an average user and you do email and surf the web, play a few online games, that sort of stuff, a Chromebook will do everything you want to do at a third the price of any other computer, and sometimes a tenth.
Right. Well, that's why, like I told you, I still have that one Windows 7 machine. It's not on the internet. It doesn't go there. All it has to do is my banking.
Right.
And it runs.
Well, it doesn't do your banking. It does your checkbook.
Yeah, it does my checkbook. Well, I consider that my banking. I go
Right,
online
but
in
you
my
don't-
Chromebook.
Right.
And I've got my Chromebook right next to me, and I can sit there and run the older software. Works, no problems. I don't have to worry about anybody hacking into it, getting any of my information, everything, because the only way they can get to me is through my Chromebook.
Right.
And I'm not worried about that. So I can, put it, if that dies, no biggie. I just go ahead because I back it up to the cloud, the database. If that machine dies on me, I just, throw another hard drive in it or whatever. Put Windows 7 back on it because it's very stable. And I don't have to worry about all these other drivers for the network card and all that other stuff because it's just doing very simple stuff.
Right. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
And for most people, you spend, do the math for yourself. How many hours a day do you spend on your computer? How much did you pay for your computer? What is it costing you per minute?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cost per minute of your machine is much, much lower on a Chromebook than on almost anything else. And again, if you're a high-end gamer and you're a programmer, you do something very specialized, then you are a photograph, if you're a photographer, that sort of thing, an artist, that sort of thing, absolutely you're in a whole different category. But for the average user, I have no idea why people aren't all buying Chromebooks.
A lot of times they'll have the big computer in the office to
Right.
do all that stuff, and then you start talking about the tablets and the Chromebooks that are scattered around the rest of the house.
Well,
The
like I
living
said,
room
you
computer.
go to most
Yeah.
box stores now, and you are hard-pressed to find a desktop.
That's exactly right.
They are all either tablets or laptops.
One of the last desktops I opened, it was in a mini tower case. I opened it up to put RAM in. It was a laptop logic board in this giant mini tower case.
Yeah. Yep.
Because someone said they wanted a mini tower.
They just don't have them there. You've literally got to go to an actual computer store to even maybe find one or two desktops because
Right.
desktops are something of the past.
Well, and they're for people who want two extra hard drives and
Or
et
gamer.
cetera, et cetera. Right.
Somebody that knows a little bit more about computers, maybe at a computer store versus the box store.
Right. And take a look at your iPad.
Yeah.
It's got a keyboard. It's got a case.
It is a laptop.
It is a
It's a
laptop,
touchscreen
and
laptop.
it could run Windows in the cloud.
Yep.
I realize it's blasphemy. I fully understand that. But the point is you could.
Yeah.
So if you could buy that, and I don't know what that whole setup costs, but it's got to be close to the cost of a Chromebook.
Yeah.
You get a slightly bigger screen with a Chromebook, but that might be a little less expensive and certainly easier to carry around. So if you could buy one of those to run Windows on, why would you not?
Right. And you can run all the different OSs too.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of ridiculous.
I got thinking about your running Mac and a VM on Ubuntu.
Yeah. I haven't done that yet, but I have to do it.
So I'm wondering if on my Mac I can run Ubuntu in a VM.
Right.
Can I install VirtualBox in the VM and then load another OS inside that VM?
Inception.
Yeah.
You know what? Another thing that I
If
see.
you got enough RAM.
Yeah.
Another thing that I see catching on, and maybe even more this holiday, is the Raspberry Pis.
Yep.
Raspberry Pis with the new 4, and hooking that up and putting, say, a hard drive on it.
The new 400. Have you seen that?
No.
It's a Raspberry Pi, slightly faster than the 4,
Mm-hmm.
in a keyboard.
Get out of Dodge.
For $100, you get it in a keyboard with a mouse, cable, power supply.
Good to go.
That was the VIC-20, wasn't it?
It's essentially a VIC-20, only it's more powerful than pretty much anything.
Yeah.
And all you need is a screen.
Since this
Which can be your TV.
Which could be your TV.
And we're coming up to the holidays, folks. So if you want to really look into something that I would say, for say the person, you don't want to spend a lot of money, but have a lot of fun and, create literally hours, if not months of, opportunities, look into a Raspberry Pi.
And I'll tell you, I haven't succumbed yet, and I will. I know I will. It's inevitable. Might as well just relax and enjoy it. I'm going to get a Raspberry Pi 400, and I don't need one, but I'm going to get one. And everything I'm seeing about it, people say it will replace a laptop.
Well, like I say, I've got two.
Or a desktop.
I've got two of them running in my house right now. One I've got down in the basement, and that still runs what they call is an all-star node. And it's literally connecting people all throughout the world that can connect there and talk to each other on just this little Raspberry Pi and a program. And then my other one is for what they call another version as what they call DMR. And again, that's people just linking, and it's all done just on this little Raspberry Pi. But on the Raspberry Pi that I did on DMR, I had to play with it. I got one of these little touch screens.
Oh, yeah.
And I built a case for it. So now I can sit there and have it on my desk, and I can watch all the different activity and the different stuff going across it. And, you can tap on it and change whether I'm doing DMR or whether I want to go to Fusion, or these are all different ham programs. And again, it's on just this little 5-inch screen.
I have a Raspberry Pi that is running World Community Grid, looking for cures for COVID-19. I've got one that has all my music. It's my music server. Mm-hmm. So I'm serving all my old-time radio shows and all my
you had those
music
up
and
for a
all those.
long time.
Yeah. And they were ludicrously simple to set up, and they work perfectly. And now I just want a 400 to play with. And I admit it.
Well, that's the thing with the Raspberry Pi. You're not investing a lot of money. $100, you're all set up. You've got your SIM card, you got the case, you've got all the cabling and everything else you need. You hook it up, and if you mess it up, no big deal. You just wipe this little SIM micro SD card and start again, or do a backup of it.
And it's got USB 3.0, so you can plug in hard drives.
The other thing, though, is there are so many YouTube videos now.
Right.
If you go, well, I don't know anything about it, sit an afternoon down and just think of a topic that you want to do on a Raspberry Pi. I've seen people doing their own home security systems on a Raspberry Pi.
But let's say you're somebody who's just interested in learning a little bit about a different operating system.
There you go.
For $100, you get everything but the screen. You even get a bootable micro USB card that already has the operating system on it. You could put a different operating system if you want, but it comes with one.
Yep.
Plug it in, turn it on, you're there. You're done.
Yeah. And like I said, folks should just take the time, especially with the holidays coming up, take some time and just do a little search on YouTube's. What can I do with a Raspberry Pi?
You'll be overwhelmed.
You're going to sit there and be awed at the YouTube videos that are out there and what people are doing with them. That you wouldn't run out. You could go for the next 20 years learning all the different things that you can do with a Raspberry Pi and still not hit them all. Because every day they're adding more and more stuff that you can do with a Raspberry Pi. And it's just like that little box, that simple little box.
Right. In fact, a lot of people are now using Steam, the Steam game system, which is an online gaming system.
Right.
They're using that on Raspberry Pi 4s. They do recommend that you have it plugged in rather than using Wi-Fi, because you could, if you're on a faster connection.
Yeah.
But that's it.
That's just a simple 5-volt converter, folks, that, normally comes with all your, your devices, your tablets and all that other stuff.
No.
You're talking about, instead of going in USB into a laptop, actually plugging it into an outlet.
No, I'm talking about using Ethernet. Sorry, I don't know what I said, but I'm talking about...
I misinterpreted what you thought. I thought you were saying...
No, it's my fault. Yeah, they want you to, they say you should use Ethernet rather than Wi-Fi, but that's true of wherever you're running Steam, right? But they're saying it works great. In fact, I was talking to a guy who said, my kids wanted gaming machines for Christmas, so I'm buying them Raspberry Pi 4s. Let them build their machines and put the games on themselves.
Yeah.
And then write their own games.
Or write their own games, which you can do easily.
That's how I got started.
And if something gets messed up, it's no big deal.
That's exactly right.
You're not messing up some big expensive machine. You got the graphics card and all this other stuff in it.
Yeah, right. No, it's a beautiful machine. And again, if what you do is surf the web and do your email and like that stuff, why spend more than $100? Why spend it? It's easy enough. All right, we're going to take a slightly longer break. You've wasted an hour with this nonsense. But don't go away. We've got a whole nother hour of the longest running computer show in the known universe coming right up in just a few minutes. It is 59 minutes after the hour. You are listening to the longest running computer show in the known universe. That's Sound Bytes. We'll be back with a whole lot more Dave Enright, way too much Steve Ray, and me, Nick Francesco, and you. We'll see you on the other side. Give us a call, 585-966-5299, 1-800-790-0415, or text us at 585-205-8887.
It's America's longest-running computer show. Back to more Sound Bites with Nick, Dave, and Steve. Next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
WGMC Greece Rochester.
A public service of the Greece Central School District.
Jazz 90.1.
On Facebook at Jazz 901 FM.
NBC News Radio, I'm Cameron Fairchild. A manhunt is underway in Wisconsin after 8 people were wounded in a mall shooting near Milwaukee. Police say the suspect, described as a white male in his 20s or 30s, fled the scene before officers arrived. The U.S.-Canadian border closure is being extended because of a surge in COVID-19 cases. Canada's Prime Minister says the soonest the border could open to non-essential travel is December 31st. A former aide to Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti is out of a job after making a sexual gesture in a photo with the mayor. The picture appears in the Los Angeles Times and shows Garcetti's former deputy chief of staff, Rick Jacobs, holding his hand over a man's crotch. This year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City will be a TV-only presentation with no crowds and no parade downtown. Cameron Fairchild, NBC News Radio.
This program is presented by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Obesity is a major public health problem in the U.S. Nearly 1 in 5 young people between the ages of 2 and 19 has obesity. Unfortunately, children with obesity are likely to become adults who struggle with their weight. Obesity in adults is associated with heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. Children with obesity are more likely to suffer from depression and low self-esteem. Developing healthy habits early in life can help prevent obesity. Eat a diet high in fruits and vegetables, drink water instead of sweetened beverages, and get regular physical activity. These are the most effective ways for children and parents to maintain a healthy weight. Thank you for joining us on A Minute of Health with CDC.
For the most accurate health information, visit cdc.gov or call 1-800-CDC-INFO.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Here's what people are saying about Jazz 90.1.
I'm really enjoying your program tonight. Thank you so much for playing live jazz on the radio. I'm an old jitterbug lady, now 83, who still enjoys all that great music.
I want to thank you for supporting local talent. What you do is great, man. I really think you got a good station. I am so glad that progressive radio is still alive. Progressive radio lives, and God bless you.
Hi, I'm ecstatic that Soundbites found a new home on jazz. I thank you, and I love you guys.
Hi, I'm listening to your station tonight, and it's absolutely fantastic. The string of songs you're playing are absolutely great.
I enjoy all of your hosts.
Enjoy your station a great deal. It's really cool. I think your jazz station is one of the best I've ever heard. It's really great.
I finally found a station, and I like their music, and I hope you never go out of business.
This is station manager Rob Linton. Thank you to all of our members and listeners for supporting great jazz radio. Jazz 90.1.
Today, as we confront one of our greatest challenges, remember that we are an innovation nation. We are resourceful, creative, and strong. For nearly a century, the Henry Ford has been home to our story of innovation. Visit thf.org and tap into our free expertly curated learning experiences and resources designed to inspire learners of all ages. We are an innovation nation. Always have been, always will be.
It's nice to know that even in times as uncertain as these, some things you can still count on. Like tuning in right here to catch the top albums of the week, new music features spotlighting the latest releases, and conversations with the artists making it happen. Join me, Kyle LaRue, alongside the bass man, Marcella Shepard, for the Cool Jazz Countdown, Mondays at 6 a.m., here on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how, and we tell them, with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids need to know the dangers and how to avoid them. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids, because when you talk, they hear you.
Hello, I'm Jay Daniels, inviting you to join us this week for a journey of musical discovery from Simply Timeless. You'll hear many of the classic jazz standards performed by greats like Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, and Nat King Cole, along with new recordings from Champion Fulton, Harry Connick Jr., and Norah Jones. Listen to Simply Timeless each Saturday at 3 p.m. on member-supported Jazz 90.1, online at jazz901.org.
Official WGMC contest rules are available online at www.jazz901.org.
Got a computer question? Text your question to the guys now on our new text line, 205-8887. That's 205-8887.
Welcome back to America's longest-running computer show, Sound Bytes, on member-supported Jazz 90.1. Get online now. Call 966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll-free 800-790-0415. Or submit your question by email at soundbytes.org. Once again, here's Nick Francesco, Dave Enright, and Steve Ray on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 7 minutes after the hour, we're hurtling headlong into the second hour of the longest-running computer show of the known universe. Before we get to the text messages that suddenly popped up, I will say that I've spent the entire break drooling over the CanaKit website and the Raspberry Pi 400.
Now, how much are they?
It's $100. Oh, hold on. If I want to add a half terabyte SSD to it.
Yeah, how much?
$84.95. $185 for a 2.2 gigahertz, 4 gigabyte processor.
And that includes keyboard and everything.
Keyboard, mouse.
All you gotta do is hook it up to a monitor.
Right, with a half a terabyte of SSD storage.
Let's see, would I fill that up?
I'd fill that up in about 2 minutes. Then I could buy another half a terabyte for another $85.
There you go.
It's not that hard, and that's just off this website. If I wanted to buy, you can buy 2 terabyte SSD drives if you want them. You can buy,
Yeah, they have the ports on them,
right,
to hook up external hard. That's why I was saying a lot of folks, if you just wanted folks, just get a regular Raspberry Pi, say a 4 or a 3. You still have the option. There's ports on this. You got to really take a look at these Raspberry Pis to see all the features that are built into it. It has built-in wireless. It's got a network connection for hard work, connecting the network. It's got sound input. It has USB connections to it. It also has an HDMI connection that you can hook it up to your TV. So This little box does one heck of a lot of stuff for the price.
It has 2 micro HDMIs, so you could hook up 2 external displays.
There you go.
It's got 2 USB 3s, 1 USB 2, gigabit Ethernet if you want to hook up directly. It's also got Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And it's all lined up there on the back. I keep telling myself I don't need one. I keep telling myself
Yeah, but it's Christmas.
Well, yeah, we're getting close to Christmas, so don't buy anything from yourself.
Yeah. Right.
But unless you have a tech-savvy enough spouse, they're not going to get it right.
Right. Right. I don't know.
Well, you
We'll
can
have to
always
see.
put it on. No, what you do.
can't have too many Raspberry Pis. So if I buy myself one and she buys me one, so what?
Yeah, but if she's looking for ideas, what you do is you email her the website.
Yeah.
And then
exactly
say,
right.
if you need an idea, honey, here it is. You point right to it. That way, any decisions that she had made, what model or whatever you wanted, will be eliminated. That if you send her the actual page, just a suggestion, dear. Here's something, and boom.
And
winner, chicken dinner.
Chicken dinner. And a Raspberry Pi 4 with the 0.5 terabyte SSD card would back up all of my websites.
You think?
Well, except for Soundbites because of all the archives.
Well, that you put on the other external terabyte,
Right.
2 terabyte drive.
Right. Or it would back up all of the pictures and documents and everything else from my desktop.
There
And
you
one
go.
more backup is not a bad thing. Plus, you can still use it as a computer.
I'm just trying to think of maybe the downside of this. I don't think so.
Yeah, the downside is you spend a whole $185.
Yepper. All right, we got questions rolling in here,
We
guys.
got questions.
All right, I'm going to even stand up for this one.
Can we
and get
make
closer.
up answers as fast?
I hope so. All right, Jerry in Rochester asked, do you have a best practice for internet security in one place on a website? How about difference between Windows, Mac, and Linux security procedures, hints, and tips?
Wow.
Not bad.
We don't. That's not a bad thing for me to put on the Security Tango, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never connect to the internet.
Yeah,
that's the best
that's
security
it.
practice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're safe all the way
question.
around.
Yeah.
Jerry, I will look into that. I will look in. That's a great suggestion. Thanks.
Yep.
Well, the short answer is no, we don't right now. Clearly, we don't. But that's a
food
good
for
question.
thought.
It's sort of stuff we've talked about over the shows.
We've never
you
put
know.
it in one.
Yeah, don't
place.
click on links you don't recognize.
Right.
Don't believe messages that pop up on your screen.
Right.
All right, here's another one. Can you guys recommend a moderate price USB computer camera / microphone?
Unfortunately, they're pretty much all sold out.
Yeah, there
Everyone
are a
buying
number
Zoom
of good ones. Logitech makes
Logitech
a
is probably the
couple of
biggest
very
brand,
good
yeah.
ones. If you can find one, like Steve said, because of everybody.
The C920 right in front of you, that's a really popular camera.
That's a really popular camera.
Almost always sold out.
Right, Logitech C, what is it?
This is the C920.
920.
We've got a couple of the Brio 4K models in stock at our shop, if you want to go more than HD.
Right, and they're a little more expensive, but they show beautiful video. Again, of course, the honest thing here is if you're just doing Zoom or whatever, you don't need a great camera.
Yeah. And that's actually one of the criticisms of the new M1 powered Macs is they still have a 720p camera, but the neural engine makes it act like a much better camera because it's not pixels anymore; it's how the image is processed.
Right.
But we still would have liked a better camera.
Sure. But yeah, pretty much any of the Logitechs, and then you just have to decide how many pixels you want and what you're willing to pay for those pixels. Most of them have a camera. Most of them have a microphone in them along with the camera, and almost all of them are USB. If you can get USB 3, if you've got a higher end camera with more pixels, USB 3 is probably a better choice than USB 2. But
I'm having trouble finding some that are USB-C now.
Oh, right.
Because all my ports are C. I have adapters, but
right.
Now that everything's plugged into this one adapter that gets really hot.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Running 3 cameras through it.
But yeah, I'm afraid we don't have a specific recommendation because everybody's sold out. But any of the Logitechs are very good.
Yep.
We're also starting to see some of the security camera companies release drivers to change your security camera into a streaming webcam. And I know I've been playing with the Wyze camera, $20 for a
Yeah,
Wyze
gonna get
security
one, too.
cam, and then they have a firmware update that will turn it into a webcam, which is kind of neat.
So you can plug it into USB?
Yeah.
Ooh. I may have to look into that now.
Yeah. They also have a neat internet storage policy. Most of the security cam companies charge you a monthly fee for internet access to store your pictures. Wyze has a 14-day rolling period. So it's free for 14 days.
Nice.
And then the oldest one is dropped off and
Right.
newest one comes on. And you usually don't need more than 2 weeks of historical data. You got robbed last night, here's your pictures.
You're right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, good.
All right, we'll go on to the next question. It says, I have lied on a bank account security question and later was denied access because they used public records to identify mother's maiden name. I closed that account ASAP. Also, a life insurance account uses public records that were in error, e.g., previous address. A former address of my son's appeared as mine.
Interesting. That's not something I've heard of before. I certainly lied about my mother's maiden name.
Because that is a public record and too easy for the bad guys to look up.
That's exactly right. That's why I lied about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I suppose if you pick security questions that aren't public records, like the name of your first dog or
favorite color.
I have seen several websites that don't let you pick the questions. They pick the question for you.
Right.
Which is less secure because then the bad guys know what the possible questions are.
Right.
Yeah. All right, here's one for Steve.
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you, but
that's just
not much.
Yeah.
The fact is that if they're going to circumvent their own security, I'd go with a different bank, frankly.
All right, I was just an earlier upgrader to Big Sur.
Wow.
Several of the applications are now broken. How can I roll my Mac back? I am not using Time Machine.
Well, let's hope you're using some other backup software because the way to roll your Mac back is erase your Mac and restore from your previous backup.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, so Big Sur came out a couple weeks ago. We are seeing a lot of people are installing it because a message pops up and says, hey, do you want to install this? And they say yes. No, don't believe messages that pop up.
Right.
Yeah, really.
Or, look into information first. We're seeing problems with third-party programs don't work. Apple's own programs are fine, but a lot of third-party programs don't work. You can manually back up your data, and then you erase your hard drive, install the old software, and manually restore your data. So if you're not using an automatic backup program, you can do it manually, but it's a lot more work.
Right.
Yep. All right.
Sorry.
Yep. All right. Next question. Is LastPass any good compared to NPass? It's the same. I mean, they're comparable.
I know LastPass has the Steve Gibson seal of approval. He talked to the author and looked through the source code, and it's done right. And now they have a big company behind them. Who is it that bought LastPass?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
look, I use NPass because when I moved to it, LastPass did not do all my platforms, and NPass did.
Yeah.
But that was the only reason I moved from LastPass to NPass. I believe LastPass now also does pretty much every platform.
Probably, yeah.
And so either one is a very good product.
And if you're Apple only, you already have Apple Keychain on all of your Apple devices. But these programs also work on Apple devices too, and they're especially handy if you're cross-platform. So Nick has an Android phone and a Unix computer, a desktop, and a Chrome laptop.
Right.
So that's 3.
Yeah.
We'll get you the other 2.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're really just talking about one platform, then you have multiple choices. But both NPass and LastPass are excellent products. Okay, back to the phones, I guess. Our next caller is Pat from Batavia, New York. Hi, Pat. What's up?
How you doing, guys? First of all, thank you, Steve, for putting the phone number on your screen there, so I don't have to go to Jazz 90.1 to look it up.
Yep, yep, it's on the YouTube stream.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I'm sorry. That's what I'm watching on YouTube, so I see it there. Now, my question is, I just put a lot of things on my my Pixel 3a, and I wanted to transfer it over quickly to my computer. Now, if what I'm reading is use a USB cable. If I plug that in, should it be showing under the Windows Explorer?
Sometimes. Many times in the phone, there's a setting for USB transfer mode or USB mass storage mode. It may be set to, what's the other one that doesn't work? Picture mode?
So basically what you do is unlock your phone.
Okay.
Connect the phone via USB.
Right.
You should get a notification that says charging this device via USB.
Okay.
You then tap on that. And then you get a choice of use USB 4, FOR4, use USB 4, and then select file transfer, and then you'll get a file transfer window.
Okay, so if I'm following you, if all that stuff does not show up, it means I don't have a good connection from the phone to the USB.
Yes, that is quite possibly what the problem is for that.
Okay, so I have to look around for a different cable maybe.
Yep.
Okay, I was kind of thinking that might be the case.
Well, you can also upload your files to Google Drive and download them on your computer and then wipe them off of Google Drive.
Okay, so I'll have to look through the process for that.
Right.
Yeah, okay, well.
But that's just, if rather than, if you can't find a cable, you can still do it. It's now a two-step process.
Yeah, and two-step is better than just staring at it with a dumb look on my face.
Think of this as a chance to start over with an empty thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
A redo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need those pretty much once a week, so. Well, I'll tell you what I really love about the fact you guys have things recorded is you'll say stuff and I'll hear about 70% of it and I'll miss something important. So I just note what time it is. And when the recording's up on YouTube, I will go back and listen to the whole thing carefully and find out what things you said that I didn't understand or missed or was too dumb to listen to. So that's one of the best things about having the archive there is that we can actually, as long as we go back, and two things. First of all, you'd have to get over the fact that you sound weird. Your voice sounds weirder than you think it should. And after you get over that, then a little humility and just listen.
Nobody likes the sound of their own voice.
Yeah, we've been saying that for 30 years.
Yeah. Listen, but also the other thing to note is that Janet D in the YouTube stream said try plugging the cable into a different USB port, and that's exactly right. It may be that you have one not good USB port.
Thank you so much, and after the show is over, I'm going to focus on doing all that. So
there you go.
Great work, as always, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
sir.
Yeah, one of the things I've always wanted to do, but I never have the time for it, is to time code the questions in the YouTube stream. You could time code when you type the question into the notes.
Yeah.
But since I take the sponsorships out, the time code in the notes wouldn't match the time code on the stream.
That's exactly right.
It would be close because it's
well, it would be at least
six minutes every half hour.
Yeah.
It would get farther and farther off at the end. Oh, speaking of time codes, the big Air Meet Live RC Fest in Germany a couple months ago, they finally put time codes on the 11-hour YouTube stream for the time codes for every act.
Right.
And at about the 8-hour mark, there was a Concorde, 20-foot Concorde, with two 30% L-39 chase planes.
Wow.
It was good. They were talking about how much kerosene they were burning. The guy did a roll in a Concorde. And the motors, he had 4-jet engines. The motors are like $5,000 a piece. They're figuring he had $100,000 in this airplane.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And he did a roll.
And he did a roll. So
he was so confident in his build ability, his flying ability. But as we all know from, Bob Hoover's rolling a 707,
right.
It's a 1G maneuver. And if you're a good pilot, you can do it.
You can do it. All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Larry from Rochester, New York. What's up, Larry?
Good morning, good afternoon, guys. And just let you know, I'm still a member.
That's what we like to hear. Thank you, Larry.
Just make it quick. I'm not a real Facebook person, but I had some kind of request last night from a good high school friend of mine, and I didn't get suspicious until they started asking about community programs. Had I applied, put the phone number in, and then they text me back and said, send a screenshot. And at that point, I got really suspicious, just got out of the thing, and then this morning, the real person, said, hey, I've been hacked in Facebook. So
right.
I just wanted to let you know that I wasn't dumb enough to completely do that. I know I'm dumb sometimes, but I wasn't dumb enough to fall for that. But I was curious, what in the world would a screenshot have done had I been stupid enough to do that? And I'll listen offline. And thank you guys for being there.
Thanks, Larry. We appreciate that. One thing it will tell you is who your carrier is.
Yeah.
And if you've given them your phone number and you've given them your carrier, I can write code that will send. Every carrier has an SMS, an email to SMS gateway. So using email, which by the way is free, I can send anybody an email that essentially is a text message. I'm still limited to 140 characters or whatever that number is, and et cetera, but I can do that now instead of paying for an SMS gateway for my computer, which is not cheap. I can do it for free as email. So that's one thing they get from you. The other thing is, what apps are you running?
Yeah.
If you send them a screenshot from many computers, you will see at least some of their apps.
Yep.
And that'll tell them what they can hit that you belong to. So they've got your phone number, they've got your carrier, they know what apps you use, you're a lot easier to hit.
And a lot of times, I know Facebook especially will use pictures in your account as a verification process if you lose your account to get back in. And so if that screenshot gets in your Facebook account, which it might be if you're already on Facebook, then they can take over your account because they know that picture.
Right. That's exactly right. Also, to be pedantic, you weren't hacked. That person wasn't hacked. He was spoofed.
Social engineered, yeah.
Right.
I had someone create a Facebook account with my name. It's got to be tough for Facebook because of the 2 billion people now on Facebook.
Right.
You're going to have people with the same name. In my high school, I had 3 Stephen Rays.
You're right.
And so, how do you prove somebody's not somebody else? Especially with Facebook allowing you to see who's friends with someone. The person who created an account in my name started sending messages to my friends saying I had to make a new account. I got hacked. I had to make a new account.
Right.
No, you are the hacker.
Through all of grammar school, I was the only Nick in the whole school. And I went to high school, and Nick Fici sat next to me.
Yeah.
And I went to college, and I was the only Nick anybody knew in my group. But yeah, it's got to be tougher when your name is John or Steve or Dave. There's got to be a lot of them. But yeah, so you really need to worry about being extremely careful about those things.
All right, just before we go to break, we'll get one quick one in here. Let's see here. All right, if online drives are targets for hackers, where is the safe place to keep your NPass password files so that you can go across platforms? Thank you.
You can keep it online for several reasons. I'm sure LastPass and several others do the same thing, but I know NPass. NPass has a very high encryption.
Pre-internet encryption, Pi. You
Pi.
always want Pi.
Right. It gets encrypted on your machine, so the internet never knows what the encryption algorithm or password or anything else is. And so it's highly encrypted before it goes up. If you use something like Google Drive, well, all of them are the same these days. They all have safeguards. None of those safeguards is perfect, but they all have safeguards to keep your machine hacker-proof, your files.
Hacker-resistant.
Hacker-resistant, exactly. It's like bullet-resistant. But so is any of them perfect? No. Are all of them good? Yes. So I would suggest that when you're talking about keeping them online, ones like NPass and LastPass that encrypt it on your computer before they upload it is the best way to go. We're going to take a quick break. Back in just a couple of minutes with Dave Enright, Steve Ray, me, Nick, Francesco, and you. It is 30 minutes after the hour. We are the longest-running computer show in the known universe, Soundbites, on the truly great, member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Before you call into our show, please make note of the following rules. 1, turn your radio down. 2, turn your radio down lower. 3, remember, nobody has invented a good-sounding speakerphone yet. Don't use them. 4, make sure you have a point. It makes for a more interesting show. 5, calling does not guarantee you'll get on the air. No whining. 6, if you do get on the air, please do not tell the host what you just told the screener. We don't care. And 7, is that radio turned down yet? We hope this will make for a more enjoyable program, and we thank you for your time.
Computer talk you can understand. More Sound Bites is next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Today, as we confront one of our greatest challenges, remember that we are an innovation nation. We are resourceful, creative, and strong. For nearly a century, the Henry Ford has been home to our story of innovation. Visit thf.org and tap into our free, expertly curated learning experiences and resources designed to inspire learners of all ages. We are an innovation nation. Always have been, always will be.
Hi folks, I'm Jeff Bressler, turning on the lights of the Make Believe Ballroom and welcoming you into my crystal studio for some great hits of the 1930s and 40s. The ballroom combines both the music with the rich history behind the records. No cover, no minimum, just sit back and enjoy. I get this swinging and dancing ballroom party underway each Friday at 5 p.m. on Jazz 90.1 and Saturdays at 10 a.m. on 90.1 Swing and Blues Radio.
Now you can explore Rochester and surrounding areas with a member card as your guide when you make a gift of $90.10 or more. We'll send you a Jazz 90.1 member card, then enjoy savings at hundreds of restaurants and attractions near you. So what are you waiting for? Call and become the newest member of Jazz 90.1 today. Call 966-5299 or go online at jazz901.org.
Here's what people are saying about Jazz 90.1.
Where my car radio is hardwired to Jazz 90.1. This is great. I really enjoy your show. I like Dinah Washington, Sarah Vaughan. Just keep doing it. It's really nice. It really is.
Hi, this is Lauren from Fairport. I'm just calling to say I enjoy all of your hosts.
Enjoy your station a great deal. It's really cool. I think your jazz station is one of the best I've ever heard. It's really great.
I must say you guys are doing a great service to the jazz lovers of Rochester. I wanted to thank you for that.
I just discovered your station about a month ago, and I just love it. I finally found a station, and I like their music, and I hope you never go out of business. Thank you very much.
This is Brad Keselowski, driver number 2, Discount Tire Ford Mustang. Racing fans know that a quick pit stop to check the tires can give me the winning edge. The same is true for your car. Proper tire tread helps keep traction on the road in everyday driving. To check your tread, simply insert a penny, Lincoln's head first, into your tire grooves. If you can see all of Honest Abe's head, it's time to get your tires checked by a professional.
A message from the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association.
Hi, I'm Brad Keselowski, driver number 2, Discount Tire Ford Mustang. If there's one thing I've learned after years on the track, it's that having the right amount of pressure in your tires can make or break performance. Properly inflated tires are essential to the health of your car and to keep you driving safely. Check your tire pressure once a month, especially before road trips, or stop by your neighborhood tire retailer for help.
A message from the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. No one can keep their eyes on their kids every moment, so it's important to create a safe environment. Have working smoke detectors and anchor furniture to the wall so it can't tip over. Windows should have stops so they can't open more than 4 inches. Also use safety gates or lock the doors leading to the garage or outside to keep your child safe. For more home safety tips, talk with your pediatrician or visit healthychildren.org.
Your smartphone just got a bit smarter. Text your computer questions now on our new text line. Text 205-8887. That's 205-8887.
Jazz 90.1 weather.
The mild air of the last couple of days gone as we head through the day today. It'll be rather cloudy, considerably colder with the breeze raw and chilly coming in out of the northwest. And we will find a spot sprinkle or wet snow flurry. Temperatures right around 40 much of the time. Variably cloudy and chilly tonight. The overnight low temperature into the low and mid 30s. Sunday, look for increasing clouds with a little wet snow, a wintry mix, and then some rain showers as temperatures climb through the 40s. I'm meteorologist Josh Nicholas for Jazz 90.1.
And currently, right now, we've got overcast skies, 42 degrees out at the airport, and 44 here at member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Hi, this is Jake Longwell, hoping you can stay up late for an hour of the best in classic and contemporary jazz. It's the Jazz Scene, Sunday mornings at 1 a.m. on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
How did he pick that
Does he
music?
flip a coin? Oh, it's coming up polka.
How he... But
I think you just, it's you know. What
Just
are
to
you gonna
remind
do?
us.
He's smoking some good stuff.
Exactly. All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 36 minutes after the hour, we're heading into the home stretch of this broadcast of the longest-running computer show in the known universe, Sound Bytes, here on member-supported Jazz 90.1. And we have John from Greece, New York on the line. Hiya, John. What's up?
Hi. First of all, thanks for doing the show every week.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I have 2 possible websites for internet security information,
Oh, good.
and they're both by Michael Horowitz of Computer World.
Yep.
The first one is defensivecomputingchecklist.com, and he goes through, it's like 25,000 words. Now, I don't know how good the advice is, but when he talks about operating systems, first thing he says is don't use Windows. And then a little further down, he says use a Chromebook. So
Well, that's sound.
Yeah.
the other one is routersecurity.org. And it goes through all kinds of information about routers. He's not a big fan of consumer routers, so
Yeah, if you can load to Tomato Router or what's the other one?
well,
that are
what he likes is a router called PepLink.
There are a number of good ones. The big thing about router security is that you do need a device to put it on if you're going to protect your whole network, and you have to have at least a little more savvy than the average user has about computers to do it right.
So
yeah, thanks.
Those are great. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll be looking them up. Thanks.
You're welcome.
DefensiveComputingChecklist.com and routersecurity.org. That kind of says it all.
Yeah, thank you much.
I posted a top 10 list from the Berkeley Education Computer Science Division.
Oh, good.
That's kind of a quick list rather than the
Right.
the 25-point checklist. Yeah.
Right.
So you start at the quick list and then work your way through the long lists.
All right, we got one more text in here. And this is from Mark. It says, I had a problem transferring data from my phone. I had replaced my original USB cable and the one I have bought that was only for charging and not syncing and charging. He should make sure he doesn't have the same problem.
Yeah, some USB cable. Well, the 2 issues. Some USB cables are for charging only and won't do any syncing, and a lot of people sometimes call that a computer condom.
Right.
So you can plug your cable into unknown outlets, and it will only charge. It won't. If there's a malicious computer behind that outlet, it won't copy your data. And the other problem is just buying the cheapest cable you can find, because a lot of those are pretty crappy.
They are pretty crappy, and that's one thing that we always tell people, going for the cheapest thing, and of course we just spent an hour talking about how great the Raspberry Pis are.
That's inexpensive. It's not cheap.
Yeah, that's
right. That's exactly right.
Two different things there.
Exactly right. Going for the cheapest just to save $1. You look at Amazon or anywhere, and you have a cable that's $3 and a cable that's $4 and a cable that's $5.
And a cable that's 29 cents.
And a cable that's 29 cents. I'd skip to the middle of that list.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that skip the lowest and the highest and go for the one in the middle.
Yeah. Well, that's what I did with some connectors. I had to buy some connectors. I saw some that were really cheap. And so I go up to the middle. I don't need gold-plated or anything else.
Right.
I just needed some in the middle. And I'm glad I did, because I went back through and looked at the reviews on those others. And people were saying, one guy posted pictures how these connectors were popping apart because they were made in China, not very good quality, and not holding up.
I think it was one of the Google security team did a rundown on Amazon USB cables.
Yeah.
And found that 90% of them were crap. They bought hundreds of them, looked at them all, looked at the impedance, the conductivity, the noise on some of the cables.
Yeah.
And it was just crap.
Yep. Well, I got a bunch of essentially MagSafe connectors for USB 3, so that I could put it on my phone and a couple of other devices. And there was one company that was selling 20 of them for the same price another company was selling 10 of them. I immediately ignored the 20.
Yeah.
Immediately.
The quality
and did a
of the
bunch of
material.
research on the 10 and found that those were in fact good. And almost every one of those reviews mentioned the company that sold the 20 pack and said, do not buy these.
What often happens is during manufacturing, there'll be spot checks of quality, and if something doesn't work, they throw those away. Well, then, the tier C company, the tier D company takes those and sells them for half price.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I used to tell my students that. They only make one model of each chip, and they test it. And if it doesn't pass at, say, 3.2 gigahertz, they test it at 2.8 gigahertz and label it that way.
Yeah.
But they only test it at a certain speed until they get their quota. So you could buy a 2.8 gigahertz processor that runs perfectly well at 3.2, but it was never tested that way. And that's why some overclocks work and some do not.
Yep. We're seeing that now in the new MacBook Pros and the M1 chip. The MacBook Air has a 7-core graphic processor. And the MacBook Pro has an 8-core graphic processor. Now, does that mean they intentionally disabled one core? Or does it mean that one of those cores failed testing?
That's
or
exactly
it didn't
right.
get tested for that.
Or it didn't get tested.
Because it didn't need for their, like you said, for their fulfillment of an order.
Back in the day when people had what were then thought of as smartwatches, calculators and everything else, there was only one company that made the chip, and they tested it.
Yep.
And how they sold it depended on what passed the test. So if the timer didn't work, you put it in a watch, it didn't have a timer. Right? So, I mean, that's just the way those things work.
Well, they were doing that for a while with hard drives, too. The RLL and the MFM drives. What they would do is they'd sit there and say, do a 500 meg hard drive. And if it didn't make, didn't make it through all the tests on that, they might knock it down to, say a 350.
Right.
Well, some folks were going back in and trying to reformat it and reprogram to get maybe 400 meg. Since it was originally, maybe a 500, they knocked it down, and then all of a sudden they're finding they're getting more on it because they never tested it within that range. They only went from here. Oh, well, then we'll take it down to this.
The minute you get your quota of the high end, you stop testing because the test takes longer.
Yep.
You only test for the next level down.
Yep.
So yeah, there's we see that a lot. It's very common in every industry. every industry, and particularly in computer chips. Because in a computer chip, 90% of the functions may work and 10% don't. You can either throw it away or label it as 90% of the other processor.
Yeah.
It's
Just take it for
it's
the
not
next
like
one down.
It's not like an engine. Nobody's going to sell you the six of the 8 cylinders work on this engine, so we'll call it a V6. It's not how that works.
Right.
But it does work that way in computer chips.
And if you want to try to take the incentive to try overclocking and see how it works, it might be a win for you. And that's not something we're advocating, because don't want to be responsible if you mess up your machine.
If you do it wrong, you blow the chip and it never works again.
So you take that chance, and it's like, do you really want to? If you've just shelled out, say $1,000 for your, nice gaming system, and then, I want to be faster, so I'm going to try overclocking. And, I've seen folks out there trying to promote overclocking, and I've been asked, well, what do you think about it? I go, if you didn't buy it for that speed, you're taking a chance, and if you want to burn that machine up, go for it.
I saw a great YouTube video where somebody took a 486 and overclocked it to 3 gigahertz.
Yep.
And played Doom on it. This is many years ago.
Liquid cooling or
he just stuck it in a freezer.
Yeah.
Stuck it in a freezer. And it played for about 3.5 minutes, and then the chip caught fire in the freezer.
Yeah.
But for 3.5 minutes, he was playing Doom at 3.2 gigahertz on a 486. And you can do that up to a certain point, but have that fire extinguisher handy and be prepared to lose your machine. It's just the way that works. All right, let me
grab another story.
Let me read a story. Hello. Come on. Okay, I'll just take the whole pile. This is a good one. Late Thursday afternoon, Mac users everywhere began complaining of a crippling slowdown when opening apps. The cause? Online certificate checks Apple performs each time a user opens an app not downloaded from the App Store. The mass upgrade to Big Sur, it seems, caused Apple servers responsible for these checks to slow to a crawl. Apple quickly fixed the slowdown, but concerns about paralyzed Macs were soon replaced by an even bigger worry: the vast amount of personal data Apple and possibly others can glean from Macs performing certificate checks each time a user opens an app that didn't come from the App Store. For people who understand what's happening behind the scenes, there was little reason to view the certificate checks as privacy grabs. Before Apple allows an app into the App Store, it must first pass a review that vets its security. Users can configure the Mac OS feature known as Gatekeeper to allow only these approved apps, or they can choose a setting that allows the installation of third-party apps as long as these apps are signed with the developer certificate issued by Apple. To make sure the certificate hasn't been revoked, Mac OS uses OCSP, short for the industry standard Online Certificate Status Protocol, to check its validity. Checking the validity of a certificate, any certificate, authenticating a website or piece of software sounds simple enough, but has long presented problems industry-wide that aren't easy to solve. The initial means was the use of CRL, or certificate revocation lists, where the revoked certificates are on a list.
Which is
says it right on
which
the,
is broken because the list is too long.
But as the list grew, their size prevented them from working effectively. CRL gave way to OCSP, which performs the check on remote servers. OCSP, it turns out, has its own drawbacks. Servers sometimes go down, and when they do, OCSP server outages have the potential to paralyze millions of people trying to do things like visit sites, install apps, and check email. To guard against this hazard, OCSP defaults to what's called a soft fail. Rather than block the website or software that's being checked, OCSP will act as if the certificate is valid in the event that the server doesn't respond. So it'll check to see if it's valid unless there's no check available, and then it just says, go ahead, do what you want. Somehow the mass number of people upgrading to Big Sur on Thursday seems to have caused the servers at ocsp.apple.com to become overloaded. They did nothing. The server couldn't provide the all clear, but it also didn't return an error that would trigger the soft fail, and the result was a huge number of Mac users left in limbo. Apple fixed the problem, presumably by adding more server capacity, or failovers, or the same way people get rid of what do you call it when you block
Denial of service attack.
Denial of service attack.
So
Thank you.
It was a DOS by your own customers.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. Oops. The server didn't provide. Oh, yeah. So it was Apple fixed the problem, presumably by adding more server capacity. Normally, that would be the end of the issue, but it wasn't. Soon, social media was awash in claims that the Mac OS app vetting process was turning Apple into a big brother that was tracking the time and location wherever users open or reopen an app not downloaded from the App Store. Paranoia strikes deep, we get it, but take off your tinfoil hat and relax. At least in this instance, the explanation is simple, and it doesn't involve Big Brother. So did you experience an application slowdown? Give us a call, 585-966-JAZZ. It's 966-5299, toll-free 1-800-790-0415. Or text us at 585-205-8887.
And there's also an extension to OCSP called stapling. So it can staple a valid certificate and say, this certificate's good for 30 days.
Right.
And so it doesn't have to check so often, which cuts down on the amount of traffic going out, too.
Helps.
Right. And every system and every operating system has a certificate store on their machine.
Yep.
So if the company uses the stapling, it will download the certificate and say, this is good until January 15th, 2021 or whatever. And then it doesn't have to check until that date again. And I wish more people used that. I wish it was available more. And it's not the operating systems that don't do it. It's the apps themselves that don't do it.
One of the problems is there are so many certificate authorities. There's hundreds of them in your certificate store. And the running joke was that the Hong Kong post office is a certificate authority. So anything they sign is trusted by all your computers. Well, I don't know if I'd like that.
Really.
So if you know, if you know what you're doing, you can go through your certificate list and remove a bunch of those.
What we need is a certificate list of trusted certificate lists.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, so
and every now and then, who's that certificate authority that got pulled?
Somebody did.
Middle of last year, they were issuing too many fake certificates, and they had authorized too many sub authorities.
Right.
And Symantec had just bought them. That's what it was. And so these Symantec certificates were getting revoked because the company they bought were being naughty.
Yeah, exactly. And and look, every company does this. Apple is not the only one. Every company does this. Apple just got hit by a massive number of people upgrading to Big Sur simultaneously, which meant that
because the message popped up and said so.
Right, because the message popped up and said so, and we click yes because we're sheep, and people upgraded, and that meant that not only the operating system itself, but every single app on that system checked back with the server. Well, when several million people, each who has anywhere from 20 to 40 apps, do the math for yourself, that's a lot of people hitting a server all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Should Apple have thought about that ahead of time and prepped for it? Absolutely.
You think?
But they didn't, and so there was a huge slowdown.
It's been our most successful rollout ever.
Yeah, right. And that's part of the problem. Beware of your success.
Yeah.
You see the commercials where somebody gets on Wix or something and makes a one-page thing, and suddenly they've got 50,000 sales, and they don't know quite what to do yet. Well, that generally doesn't happen on one-page Wix servers. But the point is that, you can be a victim of your own success. If you're not prepared, there will be a problem. And the way you prepare is to think about that ahead of time. What's the worst case scenario? And in this particular case, doggone it, the problem was easily solved. Spin up more servers.
Yep.
That for somebody like Apple, that's a no-brainer. That's one click on a website. It's just one click on their console. We need more OCSP servers. Click. How many do you want? 10. Done.
Yeah, really.
It's not like they don't have the excess capacity, which is why they solved the problem so fast.
Yeah.
Right? But the point is, somebody should have had a thought.
It's taking the time to do it.
Ahead of time.
And a similar thing happened a few years ago when they got a little overzealous and they released iOS, macOS, watchOS, an iCloud update, and something else on the same day.
Right.
And then suddenly, millions of people were downloading hundreds of gigabytes each.
Yep.
So
Which is why they stagger
They
it
stagger
now.
them now, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, somebody needs to think of that ahead of time. And often enough, we get so caught up. Oh, we've got all these new cool things. Let's just throw them out there and overwhelm everybody. It'll be great. They'll all think we're amazing. They'll download them. It'll be fun. And nobody thought, wait, they'll all download them?
Yeah.
At once?
The congestion.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I get it. But you got to think ahead of these
Well,
things. What
because-
these people are paid for. Do your job.
They got to put a little more forethought into it and not, see, they're blinded by the dollar signs. Because that's what they're thinking. We get it out there, we get all this out there. And yeah, people are downloading it like crazy and everything else. And it also creates quite a few issues.
Right. And our Chandra called it binning. There's another phrase that I can't remember that I used to use every week in class, but I don't remember. But yeah, semantic.
Yeah, it was so Symantec had bought somebody that had gotten bad, and then so Symantec's certificates were all revoked, and they had to sell their certificate business to DigiCert.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of. I guess it was funny to us. But
Yeah.
Maybe not to anybody else. All right, that music tells us we're done for another week. I want to thank Dave Enright. I want to thank Steve Ray. I'm Nick Francesco. I particularly want to thank all of you called in or texted in. Very, very appreciative. Please, everybody, vote in the poll. Let's see how big we can get that number. And we'll see you next week. Listen, when you're using your computer, think. Don't just click. Think before you press a button. 90% of your problems will go away. Read what the screen says and think before you click. All right, we're like I said, we're done for another week. We'll be back next week with a whole lot more of the longest running computer show in the known universe. Sound Bytes, right here in the truly great and truly grateful to you that we are member-supported Jazz 90.1. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you in 166 hours.
Even though there is so much against us,
You will see me choose to protect myself and my community from the coronavirus by wearing a